Hey, y'all. I am out here on an evening walk enjoying the sunshine of Seattle. I know y'all think it totally rains all the time here, but it does not. We do get sunshine, and tonight is a beautifully sunny evening. So I'm out here getting my walk in and really just taking care of me. So I wanted to just pop in and chat with y'all a little bit because so many things are different from the last time y'all saw me. I just have been out of the social media space, posts here and there, but y'all ain't seen no live video. I know some of y'all wondering, where did she go? Where is she at? So last year, the end of last year, I hosted the Audacious Woman Retreat, and it was amazing. We hosted it in October. We were down in sunny Orlando, Florida, and it was awesome. And it was an amazing time, and the women had an awesome time, and it truly was a confirmation of it being my calling and my thing that I love to do, which is connect with small, wonderful groups of female leaders and to really help them prioritize their own self-care and up-level their leadership in many ways. So we had workshops, we had fun, we had photo shoots, we had spa time. We were in a luxury mansion, and many of the women that I took with me had never had the opportunity to be in that kind of space. And so not only were they in a place of gratitude, and so was I, but just being someplace different to prioritize you. So I did that, loved that retreat. It was awesome. It was amazing. And after it, I was exhausted. For those of you all who have hosted private events, it is really like having a wedding. It's really like planning your own wedding for a whole bunch of people and doing all the pieces. And truth be told, I did that for my own wedding too. So I knew it was going to be that kind of sacrifice. So I was exhausted. And it took a lot out of me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And part of that was because I had started last year taking better care of myself. So as I went on the journey of hosting a retreat for female leaders who were in a space where they wanted to prioritize their self-care and wellness, while not having to sacrifice their careers, right? Not saying I want to give up my career, I want to stop doing what I'm doing, but I want to continue to do what I'm doing. I just kind of want to do it differently. I felt like I wasn't in the best place in my own health. So that was confirmed in May of 2023. I knew I wasn't feeling great. I went to go see my primary care provider, who is an amazing nurse practitioner. Shout out to nurse practitioners. They are my favorite types of primary care providers because of how thorough and wonderful they are. So I went to go see her and said, I'm not really feeling my best, and I know I've been neglecting a lot of things with my health. So we ran the numbers, and they were horrible, y'all. Horrible. My hemoglobin A1C was 12.5 or something like that. Ridiculous. For your reference, you were supposed to be somewhere around like 5.6, 5.7 is where they want diagnosed diabetics to be. They want us to be underneath 6. Child, I wasn't even close to underneath 6. I was so far over 6. When she came back in the room, she was like, this ain't gonna work. Being a nurse myself, of course, I knew that wasn't gonna work. So I started to change a lot of things in my life. I really needed to de-stress because that was one of the bigger things that is kind of, I would say, consistently an issue for those of us who are in the entrepreneurial space. I'm a dualpreneur. I have a full-time job, and I have 2 businesses. So I'm busy, needless to say. In addition to that, I have a family. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a Mima, and there's just all the things. So in being in that space, I said, I got to do better. So I started to really prioritize me. So that was in May. By the time I hosted my retreat, I was feeling a lot better. I was down probably 25, 30 pounds at that time. And I was like, okay, I see this working. I see this is doing what I wanted to do. And I was excited about that. But then, life started lifing, and I got exhausted and I got tired. And around Christmas time, things were just not fun. And I said, I got to take some time and figure out what's going on, what's happening for me. Why is what I'm doing not fulfilling right now? And as I did that, as I thought through what that was, I had to get to a place where I really prioritized my spiritual health, which is something else that I was neglecting. And so when I tell y'all, and I say this all the time, I say things like, how you are in one area is how you are in all areas. And if you don't believe me, watch the trickle down. And people will say, I'm doing great in my career, and I'm not doing so great in this other area, prioritizing myself and things like that. And I beg to differ. I don't know people. I've never met a person who is doing excellent in an area, and then in other areas, they are just not doing great at all. There's usually something in every area of your life when you're not doing great in one that it's a ripple effect, where there's some piece of another area that it's not working. So for me, looking at myself, right, I wasn't prioritizing my physical health, I wasn't prioritizing my mental health, and I wasn't prioritizing my spiritual health. I was in a place where I was really working a lot, and everything else was kind of on the back burner because I was trying to make things move forward. And in order for them to move forward, you just got to be working. Like, that's how it is when you're in this entrepreneurship world. And when you're a dualpreneur, I have 8 hours a day where I work for somebody else. So when I do things for my business, it's in the evening. Well, what does that mean? That means that my family doesn't get all of me in the evening. That means that my husband doesn't get all of me in the evening. And that means that I don't get all of me in the evening, right? So I said, I got to figure this out. I have to be able to balance all of it, because I do believe that you can have it all, but I truly believe that it starts with being in alignment with where God wants you to be and the all that He wants you to have. Okay. And you have to align your vision with His. It is not the other way around. It will never be the other way around. And it was never designed to be the other way around. So I said, okay, God, we got to figure this out, because everything is kind of out of whack. Not super far out of whack in everything. Some things were mildly out of whack. Some things were really out of whack. And some things were just kind of like, I could do better. So as I started looking at what am I going to do, I really was like, I got to get my spiritual health together. I have been putting God on the back burner, so to speak. Like, yes, I pray. Yes, I talk to Him, but not in the way that I wanted to. I still felt like there were things that were missing in how I prayed, what I prayed, and how I talked to Him. I still felt like stuff wasn't 100% how I wanted it. And I just started to say, okay, I'm going to shift the way I start my day. I'm going to shift the way I end my day. I'm going to shift the way that I think about certain things. And I'm just going to see, what God does. And I allow God to really take the lead on that, where I said, lead me to the things you want me to read, the things that you just want me to just bathe myself in, so that I can get to that point where I'm like, yes, okay, God, like, I hear you in everything that I'm doing. And let me say this, when you start that place of God, show me, guide me, you got to be ready, because He's about to show you and guide you. And here's the other piece of that. You ain't gonna like everything He shows you and guides you, okay? You just not. And there was so much that I was like, are you sure? That's what you want me to do? Are you sure that that's the way you want me to go? And it's so funny when we ask God, is he sure? It's like, we know he's sure, but of course it's our uncertainty and not being able to see, the vision that he has for us that makes us go, me? Lord, you want me to do that? And so as God said, yep, that's what you want to do. He also called me to a place of silence. And y'all, if you know me, ain't no way, no how, under no circumstances am I quiet. I'm just not. It's not a part of who I am. And I'm a talker. And I talk through my problems. I talk through my concerns. I talk through the things that are bothering me. And God told me, bring everything to me. Stop talking. Take everything to me. So I literally had to call my family and say, hey, I'm in a real place of aligning my spirituality and getting back into a place where God wants me to be, and he's called me to a place of quietness. And so when I talk to you all about boundaries that you set around your self-care, this is what I mean, right? This is what I mean around those boundaries that you set and what they need to look like and how you have to be intentional about them. So, of course, my family loves me. My friends love me. They want to hear from me. They want to talk to me. And I really had to tell them, I ain't gonna be able to do it. I am really in a place of quietness before the Lord. And it's a place that I have never, ever, ever allowed myself to be before. Not for as long as I did. And I also allowed the Lord to lead that as well. So I was in that place. Sorry, something just was in my eye. I was in that place until God said, you're out and you're okay. And I'm going to tell you what he said after that too. So as I'm in this place of quietness and I'm just sitting before the Lord, Lord, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with my business? What do you want me to do with my life? What do you want me to do with all the things, right? My kids, my marriage. How do you want me to pray? God was waking me up at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, like straight up out of my sleep. And it's like, pray. And so I was praying, reading, fasting. Fasting was a huge part of this journey for me. And I fasted from a lot of things. It wasn't just food, but it definitely was food. But it wasn't just food. It was a lot of things. Wasn't watching TV. The only music I was listening to was gospel or Christian. I really was in a place of whole and total surrender. And that's really what this phase of my life, I'm going uphill, y'all. So you're going to hear my breathing change because I'm walking up the hill. It ain't no big old hill. I ain't even going to hold you like this hill is huge or nothing, but I'm also not no walker. So I'm uphill. So, I was in this place of deep surrender. God said, I'm asking you for obedience and I just want you to obey. And as hard as that was, and I do mean hard as that was for me, I had to submit. I had to surrender. I knew what was at stake if I didn't. And there were a lot of things in my life that I was praying and asking God for guidance on. And I knew that if I did not surrender, I wasn't going to be able to hear his voice, nor was I going to be able to get what I was looking for. And I couldn't get the breakthrough. I couldn't get to the other side of some of the things I was feeling and some of the things I was dealing with. So I said, okay, God, surrender. Let's do it. So in that surrender, God revealed so many things to me. And one of the things that he revealed to me that I am able to share, because he still has said there are certain things I just can't talk about. He asked me to leave them with him, and I did so. But one of the things that I figured out through this time that I didn't know, but I never really paid attention to it, was how much my lack of vulnerability at times really made a difference in how I showed up. Like my inability to be vulnerable as strong, ambitious, driven women. Often that's a place where we lack vulnerability. We lack the ability to consistently be vulnerable. And part of that has to do with traumas and things we've been through, where our vulnerability was taken advantage of. But other pieces to that are simply that as a woman with any semblance of power in our lives, vulnerability is seen as weakness for us. And it's not the cute thing that it is for men. I think when men show up and they're in a space and they have the ability to have some, level of vulnerability, it's praised. When women have that same thing, we're seen as weak. And so when you are moving up corporate ladders and when you are moving into spaces where you're the head honcho, you're the decision maker in your businesses and in the things that you do, sometimes that falls off and you don't have that vulnerability that you need in the softer parts of your life so that you can really be able to take that cape off. And that was one of the things that God really revealed to me during that time, was that I truly needed to practice what I preach, and I needed to take my cape off in certain areas of my life and stop being the person who had to be holding it all together all the time. And I needed to be the person who needed to say, hey, I can't hold it together right now. I can't be the glue right now. I need somebody to step up and do that, because I need to be in a place of rest. I need to be in a place of rejuvenation. I need to be in a place of surrender. And in that surrendering, somebody else has got to step through and pick up some of the slack, because I can't be Superwoman. And I had thought, though, that I had mastered that. And God said, you're still struggling with it. So here I was feeling like I'm 42 at the time, learning these new things about myself. And I thought I had really mastered some of the arts and some of the finesse that I teach. And what God revealed to me was that this is going to be a cycle. When things come my way, I'm going to go through having to relearn how to be the things that I need to be in those situations, because I have a propensity to put everything on my shoulders. And that propensity to do that is never going to go away. I'm going to live with that my entire life, that I am the fixer. I am the person who will take on all the things and will do all the things and will make sure that everything's good, everything's straight. That's just me. I was a hard spot to be in, because I was like, man, I thought I had put that down, and I thought I had really been able to master the say no and, setting my boundaries and all of those things. And God said, well, you kind of did in this circumstance. But when these other things come up, you pick that way of being back up, because it's a part of your nature. And you're going to have to move through that and consistently work to move through that, because it'll continue to come back. And so it kind of shifted some things for me, and some things that I thought I knew about myself, and some things that I was like, oh, shoot, here we go. We're back here working through this. So, I say that to say, sometimes when God calls you to a space of surrender, calls you to a space of, now is the time for you to rethink kind of where you're at and what you're doing. Sometimes when God calls you to that, you are going to find, not only is it hard, but you're going to expose some things about yourself to yourself that you thought you had mastered. Some things you thought you had come on the other side of, and God's going to say, hold up now, not quite. Be open to that. So if you are in a place where you feel like, hey, I'm out of alignment, I will tell you here and now If you are out of alignment, it is because you are spiritually out of alignment. And that is where it starts and where it ends, is with your spiritual alignment. You have got to get to a place where you are connected to God, where you are connected in everything that you do. And it is a daily, okay, daily decision. You got to get up every day and make that decision. And there are days in this where I have failed. Okay. I am not going to stand on here and tell y'all that, oh yeah, I did it. Every day. It wasn't. There are days where I failed. There are days where when God had asked me to be quiet, I told y'all that, and I opened my mouth and I watched him correct me almost in real time, y'all, where I'm like, okay, I won't do that again. And I didn't do anything horrible. I didn't do anything bad. I disobeyed. And it wasn't anything like, I didn't, tell anybody off or anything like that. But God had asked me to just be quiet and to bring what I needed to him. And there were days where, I said something that I should have kept to myself, and I should have went to the Lord with it. A way I felt about how somebody said something to me or how they treated me, and I said something back rather than staying quiet like he asked me, and I watched God correct me in real time. And I was like, okay, I think I did it 3 times, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I think I'm done. And I had to sit with that. I had to sit with being okay with my side of the story not being heard, right? Because God knew my side. God knew what I said that I was gonna do. God knew what I did. And I had to be okay with the ultimate master knowing that the truth was the truth. And that my truth was the actual truth, right? And it wasn't something that I had kind of, fantasized or made up or just kind of thought like, well, I assumed that this and this, so this must be true. No. What I thought, what I felt in some of those moments was actually facts. But it wasn't for me to say. It was for me to take to God and to pray for the person. And when I began to do that, and I began to do that faithfully, where I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. Lord, you asked me to be quiet. So much shifted. That obedience is so key. And it is truly the key to everything that you want. Like everything that you desire is on the other side of your obedience to God. Every single thing that you desire is on the other side of your obedience to God. And he's so gracious to say he'll give you the desires of your heart. He wants those desires though to align with his will. And that's so often where we get out of lockstep, where our desires are not aligned with his will because we never asked him his will. And we're just out working, we're just out doing, we're just out being. And we didn't sit before the Lord and say, Lord, what is it that you desire to do for me to do with this gift? How do you want me to show up in this gift that you gave me? And when we forget that, we find ourselves out of alignment. We find ourselves in places and spaces that we don't like being in, and they're very uncomfortable, and things aren't moving the way we want them to, because we're not in alignment. So if you are found you're in a place where you're not in alignment, I truly, truly encourage you. And I tell my story so that you all really know that this entrepreneurship journey is not one that's like super easy, where you're like, oh my gosh, you just start a business and everything just goes how you want it to. Child, please. The amount of money that I've lost because a partnership didn't work out the way that I hoped it would. The number of people that their own hearts and their minds and their thoughts got exposed because I didn't ask God before I aligned with them. Like all of those things that happened were because I was out of alignment. And I take responsibility for that. right? I take responsibility for every dollar. I take responsibility for every partnership that just wasn't what it was supposed to be. I take responsibility for that because it was all my doing. Had I stood in alignment with God the way that I was supposed to, I would have never been there. And that's one of the things we have to take true responsibility for, is all of the things that come from when we don't listen and when we don't obey and when we're not in alignment. And it will teach us to get in alignment, stay in alignment, and to learn to obey. Like, really, scripture tells us obedience is better than sacrifice. And when I tell you no truer words have ever been spoken, obedience is better than sacrifice. Sacrifice is rough. Sacrifice is hard. Sacrifice is outside of our flesh. Sacrifice is spiritual. Our flesh hates sacrifice. My flesh can't stand sacrifice. I want to do what I want to do and only what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it, how I want to do it. That's just the flesh. And sacrifice flies in the face of your flesh every moment of the day. Obedience flies in the face of your flesh every moment of the day. Surrender flies in the face of your flesh every single turn. And that's what makes it hard. But that's also what makes it worth it. Because when you get to dying to that flesh and you start to make your decisions in true alignment with God, He flourishes what you're doing. And that's the place that I'm in. I'm in a place of accepting God's bounty and accepting His abundance because I am being obedient to what it is He asked me to do. So on this journey, I released a lot of weight that I do not desire to put back on. This is why I'm out here in the evening time walking. I am prioritizing my self-care and my wellness, because one of the other things that God revealed to me during that time was me taking care of myself was directly tied to how I felt. And if I had an argument with my husband, or my kids weren't, doing what I really wanted them to do, and I just felt like, how do I get them to hear me, see me? Or something was going on with my mom and she was stressed out, it would shift how I took care of me and if I took care of me. And I realized in that time that nobody is worth that sacrifice, right? No argument, no fleeting feelings, nothing's worth that. And I needed to completely put me at the forefront of making sure that my health, my wellness, and the woman that I desired to be was who I was looking at in the mirror. And I needed to make that happen. And I had to make that happen for myself. So here I am, kind of coming back out of that shell of, I'll say cocoon, of just hanging out with the Lord and my family, and just kind of putting my immediate circle back into alignment. And I'm on sort of the other piece to that, which is now, okay, God, now what's the next thing for me? How do you want me to move in my business? How do you want me to move in the gift that you gave me? What do you want this to look like? And here I am, and God has given me some pretty, I would say, clear steps for what He wants me to do and how He wants me to do it. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what's next. I'm excited about how my next is going to show up for you all. I am still moving forward. And let me say this, I'm still moving forward with my retreat, but I did move it. So some of you all know that my retreat was slated for October of this year, that we were supposed to be in Jamaica in actually tomorrow. No, today. We were supposed to be in Jamaica, and I had to move the retreat. I had to move the retreat because of all of the things that I just talked about and where I was at. And I wasn't selling the retreat. I wasn't marketing the retreat. I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't talking about anything. I was really getting my house in order. And I said, okay, God, do you want me to do it? Do you still want me to do it? Or is this one of the things that's just going to fall off? And he said, it was okay. And I could keep moving. So the Audacious Woman Retreat is on. We are going to be hosting it in beautiful Jamaica in May 2nd through the 6th, 2025. I'm taking just 8 ladies, just like I did for the one in Orlando. 3 seats have already been claimed, so there are just 5 seats remaining, and we're going to have a great time learning and loving on each other and just being intentional about our self-care and wellness. It is intentionally around Mother's Day because we usually don't give ourselves anything for Mother's Day. Whatever we get is what our families put together, what our kids put together for us. And I really wanted to say it's okay for you to do something for yourself for Mother's Day. It's also, we're kind of ending the starting week of Nurses and Teacher Appreciation Week. And it's kind of the same thing with that. We don't give ourselves much. So I really wanted the women I'm connected to know it's okay to give yourself something. It's okay to gift yourself something. And here's one of the other things that the Lord asked me to do with that. He asked me to drop the price point. Now, I was like, are you sure? Remember when I told you I was on ceilings? You're like, are you sure? He said, I'm sure. And I said, okay. I had to be in alignment and in obedience to what it was he asked me to do. And God said, look, everybody who you're meant to serve isn't in the upper echelon. Though these women may be professional women, they aren't all in a place where they have $5,000+ of disposable income. And so he asked me to drop it. And I clearly heard that from the Lord. And I said, okay. And so I did. So if you want to secure your seat, the full price for the all-inclusive luxury retreat, we will be in a mansion in Jamaica, full luxury, private chef, private rooms, because luxury is not sharing a room. Luxury is private. The full price is $29.99. That is the full investment, and that's just what God asked me to do. And the original price was $5,000, and so it's now around $3,000. And if you're interested and you want to come and you want to enjoy, get on my website at RashidaHatchettMedia.com and let me know you want to come. And I will send you all of the details and all the things that you need. If you go to RashidaHatchettMedia.com/Audacious Woman Retreat, you will see all the details for the retreat, but you will not see the special that I'm running right now, which is for $349 for you to secure your seat. So that is something you actually have to email me for or send me a message on my website for, because what you're going to see is the deposit is $1,000. So if you want to come, let me know. I just made it back to my house. I think I'm at, oh my goodness, I know I did a mile. Let's see how much I did. I did a little over a mile.